So the console, the CL3, does have a default de-esser, and it's pretty useful at times to use it if you have a vocal that's really sibilant and hurting your ears. It is available on the second dynamics processor. I'm going to bring up the vocal channel here. And I think he's singing. I hope he's singing. He's between words. But if I were to compress him, and I want to show what happens when I compress him and then want to de-ess, because usually de-essing is necessary after your compression. If you bring up the second processor, and it defaults to compressor, and I turn it on, and I've got a vocal here playing, and maybe I adjust the threshold down a little bit, and maybe I slow the release down a little bit. I see that it's compressing about 6 dB on the vocal, and that's good. That's good. Now, if this were a vocal that were really bright, and the S's were getting really loud, and what happens is the compressor will turn down the notes, but leave the S's alone, so after you compress, the S's get louder. If you want to use a de-esser, you can click this to de-esser. The problem is you no longer have a compressor, because it turns off the compressor and turns it into de-esser. So if you do this, what I will usually have to do is go, bummer, I really want the compressor to be the first processor, not the second, because the first processor can't be a de-esser, but it can be a compressor. So what I'll do is I'll go to my second compressor, leave it on compressor, copy it, and then go up to the first processor and paste it. And it turns it into a compressor. So now I have my compression setting on my first processor. So I can go back to my second. So let's do that. He's not singing. Is he singing? And I can see it's compressing. And then I go to my second processor and I go, hey, yo, de-esser, make it a de-esser. Now you set your trigger frequency for where you want it to get rid of S's, and it defaults to 2K. And this is silly because S's aren't at 2K. They're much higher. So I would put them up like 5K and above. And now you set your threshold so when it hears a lot of treble, it will compress, and only when it hears lots of treble.
All that you missed.
I missed that stuff there. And this particular vocal doesn't need a de-esser. It just happened what I happened to use it on. But this is how you use a de-esser on this console. It's very useful, very quickly. I've used it on slap basses to get really bright, but I've certainly used it on vocals. And the trick here is to remember that you have to put your compressor on the top channel so you can use this. The top processor, your second processor, can be a de-esser.